Hey guys, welcome back to the Mental Game podcast. I'm your host, Nico Mothra, and I hope everyone's having a brilliant week and day filled with prosperity and happiness. My week has been pretty good actually. Yesterday I had a relaxing Saturday where I just watched a few movies, did an online course, listened to some music, got my eyes tested. And today I met up with a friend of mine, which I knew back in Dubai. And it was just a really good time, to be honest, where we talked about deep topics. Also, just talked about good times in the past and touched upon happy moments, which, you know, feels the best, to be honest, connecting with somebody and going through a social prescription. And I absolutely love it, to be honest. So my weekend rather, has been really good and fun. In regards to my work, it's been interesting. It's been eye opening, as I'm currently on a work placement, and essentially that involves a 1 year internship working for a company. And it's been really interesting as I've learned quite a bit in regards to the profession I want to do, the kind of people I want to work with, the kind of person I am, and a person I want to be in the future. It's a really eye opening experience, which I'm sort of going through every month and day when I'm at work and experiencing different things. So each day is different and my emotions fluctuate a lot. And I get a number of emotions which are very different. I sometimes get emotions of anger. I get emotions of happiness. I get emotions of curiosity. I get emotions of maybe envy. And you get the point. I get so many emotions. What I used to do is actually segregate these emotions into two partitions. And one partition being positive and another partition being negative. And I've created a past episode on this on how these partitions are actually quite detrimental. And how instead we should view these partitions as instead a single flowing energy, as instead of splitting these emotions into two parts, we should consider them as a collective whole, as just flowing energy. So as of recently, I decided to stop segregating my emotions into positive or negative. Let me give you an example. If I feel angry at work, I stopped dictating that emotion or pinpointing that emotion as negative. Instead, I said, right, this is a normal emotion. This is an emotion that people feel on a day to day basis during certain activities, tasks, or times of day, and it's completely normal. And by viewing this emotion as normal, I was able to contemplate different ideas to understand why this emotion was troubling me, how I can reduce it, and instead of running away from the emotion, I was able to battle it head on. When I was labeling, for example, anger as negative, I was essentially creating a running away scenario in my brain where I was like, warning, anger is being felt in my body and it's negative. Let's try to avoid that emotion at every instance. And in order to avoid this emotion, I essentially created a running away sort of scenario where I tried to do certain things to get rid of that anger. And that meant maybe listening to music to not really think about my emotions, occupy myself with productivity to forget about the anger and just put it back of my brain so that I don't think about it anymore, etc. So there's many different things I did which didn't really which didn't really focus on combating or fixing the problem, and instead focus on running away whenever I pinpointed an emotion as negative. So, just to reiterate with another example. So, sometimes I also feel, and it's an emotion which I feel maybe sometimes when, when you're in a corporate environment, for example, and for example, you feel maybe jealous or envious of another person's skill. And what I used to do in the past is segregate this emotion and pinpoint it as negative. And what that done was essentially see comparison as dangerous, see comparison as a warning. And whenever I felt envy, I used to beat myself up in regards to telling myself that, Nickel, you should not be thinking like that. You should be avoiding envy at every instance. You should forget about envy. Stop comparing yourself. Stop it. Just stop it. And used to make it even harder to stop it, because if I tell you to stop thinking about a blue elephant in a room, I bet you're thinking about a blue elephant in a room right now. It's absolutely really hard to stop thinking about something when you keep telling yourself to stop thinking about it, if you know what I mean. So instead of segregating or pinpointing this emotion as negative, that being envy, I decided to consider this emotion as normal. Consider envy and jealousy as normal. And say, right, Nicole, I know you're feeling envious about this certain person. I know you're feeling jealous about this certain person, and so on. Let it sit with you. Let it actually sit with you. Let it sit in your stomach, your heart, and your body, essentially. And understand it. Understand it, question it. Why are you feeling envious? Why? And if you answer that why, and it's maybe, oh, I want that person's skills or capabilities, then you need to ask yourself, how can I build those capabilities and skills myself? How can I motivate and use this scenario as a form of motivation? So there's different ways of contemplating emotions when you actually consider emotions as normal. So with sitting with your emotions, and this is another term, when you sit with your emotions, when you actually digest your emotions, you're able to question them and better understand them. You're able to question your emotions and why you're actually feeling them. You're able to be rational with your feelings. You're rationalizing your feelings and emotions. When you're pinpointing emotions as negative, positive, and all that, you're essentially running away because, for example, if you know, say a cigarette is dangerous, and you'll always stay away from that. You'll potentially even run away from that secondhand smoking, first-hand smoking. You'll potentially just run away from that entity. Same thing with emotions. If you pinpoint envy, angry, jealousy, and all that as negative, then you're essentially going to be avoiding it at every cost and not really digesting it. You're not going to digest it. You're not going to sit with it. You're not going to accept it as normal or part of your life. And whenever you feel it, you're going to be angry at yourself, beating yourself up, and trying to run away from it. And on the other hand, when you accept it, you're able to be rational with it, question it, understand it, and utilize it in a good and beneficial way. And that's my main message today. Sit with your emotions, digest it, rationalize it. Don't run away from it. Don't pinpoint it as negative. Don't create these segregation scenarios and all that. Consider it as normal. It's normal to think these ways. It's part of life. It's the way humans are built, and it's just the way we are. We have a number of emotions we feel, and it's normal. And that's the main message. I'd like to thank you guys for listening to today's podcast. It's been, I'm trying to make these podcasts a bit shorter and sharper. and really appreciate the support. Every bit of, every viewer, I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And this journey has been absolutely amazing. Just listening to other podcasts and listening to your guys' perspectives when talking to you guys in person has been absolutely amazing. It's just rewiring my brain to sort of think of what really matters in life, what really matters, and what is an optimal way of thinking about situations. What is the best way to grow as an individual and seek a development and be curious about developing as a person and my personality. And I really appreciate it. Anyways, guys, hope everyone has a brilliant week and day at work or wherever, filled with prosperity and happiness. Bye bye, guys, and see you guys later. Bye bye.